be with you in just a minute. I'll be with you in just a second, folks. I'm getting ready to tweet this out, and I'll be live in just a second here. Stand by. Here we go, guys. That's weird. Okay, there we go. Just got it out. Okay, so here's what's going on. So there's a lot of breaking stuff happening rapidly now. Major hurricane, and I've got information just in the last few minutes. I'm still waiting for confirmation. Okay, we may have a Cat 5 already. I'm waiting for, there's 2 hurricane hunters out there now. The pressure, this data's coming in. I'm waiting for confirmation. The hurricane hunters finding winds of over 150, 55 miles an hour, and I'm waiting for confirmation, but it looks like we may have just went to Cat 5. It jumped from Cat 3 to Cat 5 in about 1 hour. I'm waiting for confirmation. We'll have a bulletin out momentarily, but the hurricane hunters reporting winds of 155 miles an hour. So we may just went to Cat 5, definitely high Cat 4, but my understanding, I'm getting multiple texts from people behind the scenes that are watching information, and they're telling me now that it may have just went to Cat 5. So the bottom line is we'll have that momentarily. There's 2 hurricane hunters in there right now. They're in the storm, and you see the pressure's down to 940. Looks like the last pass was like 940, 941. It's definitely high Cat 4, but there's 2 hurricane hunters out there right now in the eye. One just went through the eye. There's another one zigzagging in there. But, okay, there we go, 9. Yeah, you see the flight level one's pretty high. So anyway, we'll wait for confirmation on that before we declare it. But anyway, I think definitely high Cat 4, but there may be a bulletin out in the next minute or two. So basically, they've got a major hurricane, Cat 4, Cat 5. It trends just north of Mexico tonight and tomorrow morning. I think it starts pulling northeast as the trough starts grabbing it. It's going to come obviously to the west coast of Florida. And based on the current hurricane track, it brings it in near and just south of Tampa right now is the current forecast as a major as we get into late Wednesday afternoon. The biggest problem, and one of the things that I'm going to probably focus on the most, but it's not going to be the only hazard. Obviously, it's going to be the storm surge, possibly a historic storm surge in the Tampa Bay or south, depending on the track. So if the track right now is coming in just south of Tampa, the 8 to 12 will be just to the right of that. Sarasota, just south of there, between Port Charlotte and Sarasota, Inglewood, this area right here, 8 to 12. If the models, there's another major change that's happened overnight, and this has gone back and forth. Some of the models wanted to bring it north of Tampa. And let's go look at that real quick. So let me jump to another panel here. And I'll give you some, let's see if it's in yet. I don't think it's in current storms. Let's look at the current storms. Hamilton, Milton there. Let me see if the 12Z's updated yet. There it is. It did update. Today's the 7th. Okay. This is breaking. Let me make sure. Yeah. So this is breaking. Yeah, it's morning 12th. Okay. Just up. You're seeing it for the first time I am. Okay, just updated. Most of those models, some go north of Tampa, some right into Tampa. The mean average is just south, down here just south of Sarasota. It's 72 hours. So there's 2 things I've noticed this morning on the models. Let's back up here and let's see what the intensity guidance is kind of giving us here. There's a 7. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay, this is not good at all, guys. This is brand new data in the last 10 minutes. So the models initialized 12Z this morning. Okay, this is the computer forecast. They could be off a little bit, but this is a big change. This is going to be breaking weather on the new data. This is huge. Okay, the brand new forecast now. All the models have jumped into a mid to high Cat 4 based on the new recon data and the Gulf Stream data and the new hurricane. And I can tell you the forecast at 6Z forecast on all the hurricane models, what it was supposed to be at 12Z this morning, we're off from 8 to 22 millibars under forecast on intensity. Well, now it's, I'm waiting for it. I think we've got Cat 5 already. So the models are already grossly under forecast. So what all these models did before, let me see if I can back this up and show you the 6Z still on here. It is. So 6Z, if you notice, there's a couple that were high Cat 5s, some in the Mord 4, and a bunch of them were in the 3. Look at this image right here. Look what the brand new update's done now. The brand new 12Z plot, they've all jumped north. They're all mid to high Cat 4, and some are Cat 5. A lot of them are borderline Cat 5 at landfall. High 4 to Cat 5 at landfall. 48 hours Wednesday morning. They're basically Wednesday morning, 48 hours. Your high 4, and then you start, as it approaches the coast, it comes back down from a 4 to a high 3 at around landfall time, right? But it keeps it a basically just a borderline Cat 5 for the next 48 hours, okay? This is brand new, guys. You're seeing it at the same time I am. So it takes time to ingest this. The other thing I've noticed is that, I'm still seeing a recon. We should have a bulletin from the hurricane hunter out there. He's already went through the eye. I'm looking at the second one. He's passed back through, just waiting for confirmation to see what number we've got down to. Flight level winds. He's down to, okay, there we go. The second flight now, this guy's down to, and again, I got to wait for confirmation. I'm down to 936, roughly 940, 935, 936. As that guy went through there, here's my flight. There's my winds right there. So I believe we're high 4, borderline Cat 5 right now. High 4, borderline Cat 5. It's ahead of schedule. Okay, so let's get into storm surge. Let's look at the satellite too. Let's look at this real quick. Obviously, it had a pinhole eye. The hurricane hunter that's out there that went through the eye wall about 15 minutes ago reported a 10-mile eye now, 10 nautical mile eye, pinhole eye, which was forecasted. The model said it was going to happen. And for the next 12, 18 hours, you'll notice the eye, it's got this kind of this east-southeast trajectory, right? It's got this east-southeast trajectory, right? So high Cat 4, borderline Cat 5, and the main thing, and this is the tough part. This is extremely concerning. So it's basically the next 48 hours till Wednesday morning. I've got either a 5, a high 4, or a mid 4 as it's approaching the Texas. Oh, excuse me, Texas. I apologize. The Florida coastline, the western Florida coastline. Wednesday morning. It's approaching us as a 4, mid to high 4, low 5, and then it comes down to a 3, probably right at landfall, right before landfall. But here's the problem, okay? And there's no really good way to explain this. Let's go to storm surge, and this is the thing I'm harp on the most. The wind impact could be massive as well. So let's just go with the official forecast track they've got right now, right, which is just south of Tampa Bay. When you have a Cat 5, Cat 4, Cat 5 over here, you're generating massive, extremely large destructive waves. 50, probably, don't be surprised we see 60, 55 to 60 foot waves, okay? Because once you get a hurricane this deep and intense, the waves, the amount of waves out here and ahead of it will be huge. It's kind of like throwing a big rock in a pond or a boulder in a pond. Once it gets that deep and you've got winds gusting at 200, okay, I just got confirmation of 150. It's almost Cat 5. It's almost Cat 5. People are dinging me. It's just under Cat 5 now. Once you have this kind of wind, and the winds, and by the way, the winds are Cat 4 now, yes. The winds are, you start gusting to 180, 180 this afternoon, tonight, and tomorrow, the next 48 hours, you got winds of 180. You have a wall of water coming, and it's coming, and it's kind of like Kirk off 1,500 miles east of the Florida coast now. Even though it's 1,500 miles east, it's creating huge swells on the east coast, right? So this thing's going to have a Cat 5 storm surge coming with it. So it's going to go from a 5 for the 5, borderline high 4, 5 for the next 48 hours is what the new models show. The new models is way up in intensity for the next 48 hours. As it approaches, let's go from a high 4, 5 category somewhere back off the coast here Wednesday morning. I can't tell where that's going to be yet. And let's say it goes from a 5 and it goes to a 4 and then maybe a 3 at landfall or a 4 at landfall. What's going to happen because you got a 5 that's coming up here. You can't stop. Sorry, guys. You can't stop that those waves, right? So if I come all the way back down to let's call it a high 3 at landfall. Okay, that's kind of what the Hurricane Center's got. Let's just go with the hurricane's current forecast. A category 3 at landfall. You're going to have a Cat 4 to Cat 5 storm surge at landfall. Okay, let me repeat this again. It's kind of like Ivan in the Gulf. It's kind of like Katrina, okay, type storm surge. If you have a Cat 5 and 4 all the way up to like right here, it's a high 4 or it's a mid 4 or low 4. It's going to have a Cat 4 to Cat 5 storm surge just off the coast come Wednesday morning. Even if it drops to a Cat 3 intensity, the water doesn't go, oh, I went from a Cat 5 to Cat 4 to Cat 3 the last 12 hours. Oh, my winds are down to 130 miles an hour instead of 170 miles an hour. I'm going to make the water go down. It doesn't work that way. That energy is coming. It's like dropping, like I said before, it's like dropping a big, huge boulder in the ocean. That water is coming. Those surges coming. So that you're going to have large destructive waves, and the waves on this thing are going to be massive. I don't know how high, but they're going to be massive. We'll know later today as more and more data keeps coming in from satellites, the storm surge, the buoy heights, all that stuff's going to rapidly update as these numbers keep changing. I will tell you, there's a massive change, way up, another full category based on I'm getting multiple bulletins. It's a high Cat 4 now, borderline Cat 5. So you're going to have, again, from Tampa Bay southward down to Fort Myers Beach, Port Charlotte, all these areas down in this area, depending on the exact track. Some of the models take it just north of Tampa Bay. Some of the 12Z models have shifted south. They've shifted south to either the south side of Tampa Bay into just north of Port Charlotte, kind of like Inglewood. It's all this general area. Sarasota to Inglewood is where a lot of the models, the 12Z models, are clustered now. And they could change tonight or tomorrow. It could go back the other direction. It could come back north, it could come back south. But I can tell you that I'm not just past concerned. I'm extremely concerned now from Fort Myers Beach, Inglewood to Sarasota and parts of Tampa Bay, but really Sarasota southward, Fort Myers Beach. You're going to have possibly historic, catastrophic storm surge. These numbers are going to go up. These numbers are going to go up based on the new data I'm seeing. They're going to go up, right? So prepare for catastrophic storm surge and catastrophic wind damage. I think it comes to shore now as a low Cat 4, high Cat 3, might even be a mid Cat 4 at landfall. But these numbers are going to increase, but catastrophic, unbelievable storm surge all on the coast here, right? So that's kind of my update for right now. This is going to be a horrific storm surge, horrific wind damage. The hurricane watches are going to extend for the rest of the peninsula. Got word they're going to go all across the state. You're going to have well outside the center of the hurricane track. You're going to have wind damage. You're going to have flash flooding. You're going to have wind impacts covering the huge parts. Tropical storm force winds are going to go out 150 miles. The other thing the models show explicitly, as a hurricane goes from a 5 to a 4, and this general area, the winds spread out dramatically in all directions, right? And when it does that, so you're going to have tropical storm force winds probably all the way down in the Keys, all the way up to Jackson. And so it's going to cover the entire state of Florida on Wednesday, and Wednesday night into Thursday is going to have tropical storm force winds covering a big, huge part of the state with hurricane conditions covering a huge part of central Florida along the I-4 corridor, just south of I-4 corridor, this whole area, Milburn, Orlando, Kissimmee, Lakeland, Florida, all these areas, Fort Myers Beach, all the way up to Tampa, hurricane across the state. Central Gate, right? Okay, here's a brand new bulletin that's probably the Cat 4. Milton, Category 4 now. Maximum winds of 150. Milton is Category 4, right? 27.76 inches, right? It's ahead of schedule. It forecasted ahead of schedule, 940. It's dropping quickly into the 930s. Probably, I'm gonna go ahead and say it because it's happening. I mean, it's happening at a rapid rate right now. We're gonna have a Cat 5. Probably we may even have a Cat 5 by 12 noon. We're gonna have a Cat 5 today. It's going to go to Cat 5. There's no doubt in my mind it will go to Cat 5 today. Now, how long it stays there? 24 hours, 36 hours before it starts getting the influence of the trough and a little bit of shear. The other big change I'll tell you that I noticed on the data this morning. The other big change I noticed on the model data, let me do this. How can I do this? The other big change on the model data this morning, let me find this. Let's do the track, that's track intensity. Let me show you another thing that's interesting. This also has caught my attention. Yesterday, this is approximate, when the model's headed north of Tampa Bay valid for Wednesday afternoon, nightfall, it had like 40 knots, 30 to 40 knots of shear from Tampa north. So when a lot of the models yesterday, you're bringing it up to Tampa Wednesday evening, the hurricane was going, it goes from being a diaffluent venting, because as it approaches the trough, is approaching it, it vents it like crazy for the next 48 hours. That's why you got this massive deep ramification in up to, category 5 here, probably today. Stays that way for 36 hours, and then as it gets closer to the shear, it starts weakening, right? From a 5 down to a 4, down to a 3. But the problem is, now with the model shifting southward, right, south of Tampa Bay, for the majority of the models now are shifting south of Tampa on the new 12Z guidance. It's updates a little bit farther. Look how close it is to the Mexican coast down here, right? It's farther south, it's just off the coast. It's also shifted southward here, so it may, I'm not saying it's going to yet, it may spare Tampa Bay, maybe, right? No guarantees on this. So if it shifts southward, it's going to have less shear. So what you're going to have happen is instead of being a 3 going to a 2 in Tampa Bay, which is what the models had last night and yesterday, now you're going to bring it in south of Tampa here, north of Port Charlotte, Fort Myers. And now, instead of being up in the shear, you're going to be less shear. And now the shear is like down around 15 to 20 knots at landfall. So the chances of it being a category 4 at landfall have dramatically increased. Okay, this is new data I'm looking at this morning. And you'll hear additional statements from the Hurricane Center, and other forecasters will update this data as the data goes on. This is brand new data. So what I'm seeing happening is it's possibly going to track farther south than Tampa. That's and it still could go back north. But it's going to go into a lesser shear area as we get into Wednesday and Wednesday night. So it's probably going to come ashore as more of a Cat 4 versus a Cat 3. That's what I'm telling you. That's what the model explicitly says. Okay, so that's it for right now. I've got to get busy. I'm still here in Sarasota area. If you're in an evacuation zone, you got to evacuate. Do not take any chances. This will be worse than any hurricane storm surge you've ever seen on the west coast of Florida. This is going to be worse than Wilma. It's going to be worse than Helene that just happened. Obviously, it's going to be worse than either. It's going to be really, really, really bad. There's no other way to tell you that. You got to evacuate. And I was out on the Outer Banks, the Gulf, Sarasota, or up north of Sarasota, Remington Beach, back at Clearwater, all the beach areas, all the dunes are already knocked down. The 10-foot dunes, Pine Key, all those areas on the Outer Banks. The beaches you had out there, they're gone. The sand dunes you had at 10 to 15 feet in a lot of areas, they're gone. So when this storm surge comes in, make no doubt about it, it's going to come in like a tidal wave. When it comes in, it's going to blast. It's going to come in through those houses, first floor, and I think you'll see a lot of homes up to the rooftops along the coastline and the backside of the bay. And it may or may not be Tampa. Tampa could actually have a negative storm surge if it goes south of you. They could be a negative storm surge in Tampa Bay, not a positive, but a negative. But where it does come in on the backside of those bays and those islands, back south of Sarasota, down to Port Charlotte and Fort Myers, you could actually see water up to the rooftop of houses along the coastline, up to 10, 12, 15 feet up to the roofs. I think a lot of structures are going to fail along the coastline. You're going to have large battering waves up and down the coast from Tampa southward, wherever the eye makes landfall. You're going to have large destructive waves that are going to knock the walls down of the houses, the center block walls on the storm that was 100 miles west of here a week ago, Helene. A lot of center block walls in between houses and buildings are gone. They're flattened. I saw it peeled up concrete off the foundation. A lot of structures are going to fail from the battering waves and the winds. Right? If you get a Cat 4 wind, you're going to have roofs coming off, and then you're going to have the huge battering waves. This is going to be a massive disaster on the west coast of Florida. I'm ramping up the numbers based on the new data I'm seeing. It's going to be, I think it makes landfall as a 4, and I think you're going to have a Cat 4 to Cat 5 storm surge. That's what I'm saying right now, and I'm going to stick with it. That's what it looks like to me. That's what the data says explicitly this morning. It's going to be extremely dangerous hurricane. I've got to go. I've got to get on other calls and other business. But hurricane watches will expand on the 5 o'clock advisory. If you're in evacuation zones A, B, and C, listen to your local counties. Evacuate. Do not stay along the coastline. This will be an epic storm surge, and power outages will be massive for weeks. And it's going to do a lot of damage. I got to go. I'll give you more updates a little bit later today. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much.